back investigating the big question. How do we keep guns out of the wrong person's hands? The nation's biggest retailers are starting to take action. Walmart plans to stop selling types of ammunition for handguns and military-style weapons. And other retailers like CVS are changing their policies for openly carrying guns in their stores. Another thing that may help protect you and your family are red flag laws, which can stop down more mass shootings according to new research. Joining us now are experts who've been at the forefront of these red flag laws. Legal analyst Amy Swearer and adolescent psychologist Stacey Meisner. So Amy, it can vary from state to state, but generally how do these red flag laws work?
So red flag laws are a way of better identifying individuals who are becoming increasingly dangerous either to themselves or to the public at large. And generally what they do is allow individuals who are close to people who are becoming dangerous, such as friends, family members, sometimes co-workers, teachers, to petition courts directly to say, hey, this person is becoming dangerous. I'm seeing these signs. Can we intervene specifically with this person to disarm them and then hopefully reroute them toward treatment if that's appropriate, and to get them to a better place where they're no longer dangerous before we give them back either firearms or other dangerous objects.
So one of the nice things about having 50 states is we don't have to all go first. So 19 states have already developed some type of red flag law. How has it worked? Is there proof that it's beneficial?
So one of the things that we're seeing is, first of all, they're being used. So when people are aware that these laws exist, we're seeing even in jurisdictions like Maryland, when they recently implemented that, within the first month, there were over 100 petitions that were filed. So there's a need for that people are seeing when they're aware that they exist. But then the other thing that we're seeing is this segment of the population that's falling under the radar, that's becoming dangerous, but that isn't being reached under current laws.
All right, so Stacey, as a psychologist, what are the red flag signs? What are the issues that you should be looking for to determine if someone around you could be a danger?
Right. So first we're going to look at weapons, right? Does the person have access to weapons? Do they own a gun? Do they have family members who have guns in the home? Behavioral changes, personality changes, super important also. We're looking at, you know, classic signs of depression, really. Isolation, decreased sleeping, decreased eating, changes in expressed mood. You know, is the person angry? Is the person agitated? Or even more calm? Super important.
Some of these are topics that Mary brought up when she was talking about her son Brandon. Warning signs she wasn't aware of, but now you all are. Yes. So red flag issues can be, as you mentioned, not easily accessible to everybody, but you're close to that person, so you know about them. So it could be an issue for a coworker, a relative, an ex-spouse or a spouse, a neighbor, even a friend that you're worried about. So the purpose is to allow us to identify people who are at risk that no one else has figured out are at risk. So let me open it up to the audience and see if you've got any questions about red flag laws. Okay, we'll start with you. Go ahead. What's your name?
Jody. How does the process work? Like, can you stay anonymous when you report so that you can stay safe?
Jody, well, unfortunately, there's not one simple answer because this is going to depend, again, on what state you're in. So I'd say one of the first things you should do is to look up what some of your options are, and that, again, can involve going to the police and asking, you know, what are my options? This is what I'm seeing.
And even calling 911 and, you know, letting them know you have a psychiatric emergency.
Let me push you a little bit, because the issue of being anonymous is, for me, vital. If someone's already dangerous, a coworker, you don't want to make yourself a target by telling everybody, hey, I think you're dangerous, right? So, how many of you would be more comfortable if it was anonymous? Yeah. So I think part of the hope, I gather, is that we'll make a system so that I can call in and say, there's evidence besides my testimony that this person's dangerous. Look at their Facebook feed or social media postings or comments they've made to other coworkers besides me. Do a little investigating. I'm alerting you, putting a little red flag up there saying this person's a concern. Then I would hope that all the states would say, well, if there's obvious evidence and you're pointing us to it, you don't have to get involved personally. Is that what's going to eventually happen, hopefully, in most states?
So that is something that you can do, and again, it's going to depend on the specifics of the red flag law. Some red flag laws do have avenues for you to kind of handed over to the law enforcement officials, if you will. And I'd say, too, what red flag laws allow you to do a lot of times is if you bring that to law enforcement and nothing is done. So this is something we've seen, for example, with Parkland, where there were all these red flag law signs, but nothing was done. Red flag laws then allow you directly to go to the court,
right.
If nothing else is done,
Right.
and to say, look, nothing is happening, but I'm still seeing these signs. Please intervene and do something.
You had a question. Go ahead.
I'm a middle school teacher, and sometimes with 10-year-olds, it may not be right away that something happens. How long can it be seen that maybe in the 7th grade, in the 8th grade, maybe in the 9th grade, that this kid really is a danger?
I don't think there's a time limit on what you need in terms of calling. And actually in New York, they allow teachers to petition the court in terms of these red flag laws. But I don't think there's a time limit. I think it's more about your concerns.
It's one of the